my expectations for this movie were completely wrong because I saw the wrong poster. I saw the one with Rocket and Angelica on the beach as opposed to all the guys pointing their guns at some random chicken. So I thought it was going to be a romance. Turns out it wasn't. I also had no clue that it was real or where it was happening, and I had to look up, like, where is this? And it turns out it was in Brazil, and they were speaking Portuguese. So that was helpful to know.
Disclaimer. Descriptions of terrible people and events in this movie is not an endorsement of them. Children should not try this at home. However, if they must, parental supervision is highly recommended while they attempt to dominate a rival drug lord's turf.
So the whole thing is pretty much a flashback for the first, like, hour and a half. It's narrated by Rocket, who is a kid growing up in Rio de Janeiro in the 60s. He's the younger brother of a guy named Goose, who is nicknamed Goose, who is a member of the Tender Trio, which is a small group, just 3 guys, who are really just petty thieves. They have a small group of children around them that really idolize them and look up to them. One of them is named Lil Dice, and he suggests that they rob a brothel, which would turn out more money than their usual robberies. So they do, and the whole thing blows up, and the cops are all over it because while none of the 3 guys actually harmed anybody, it turns out a lot of people at the place were found dead. So yeah, the cops are all over it. Shaggy, one of the members, is killed while trying to escape the ghetto with his girl. Goose is actually shot by Lil Dice, who you find out later, in a flashback. And I honestly couldn't tell you what happened to the third one. I don't really remember anything at all. So then it jumps 10 years to the 70s. Rocket is in high school, presumably. It doesn't really say. He's got a group of friends. He's got a crush, her boyfriend. And then it introduces the major drug lords in Rio at the time. You've got Lil Z, who is Lil Dice grown up, and then you've got Carrot, who is just the other guy. Lil Z's right-hand man, Benny, is actually a pretty decent guy, and a lot of people like him, so he's able to kind of smooth over a lot of the tensions that Lil Z stirs up because of his, just sadistic behavior. So Rocket, is actually still pretty close friends with them, and he, decides to turn to a life of crime because all the criminals are winning. So he grabs a gun, decides to start robbing random people, and fails miserably because he's just too nice. So that doesn't last very long, and he goes back to whatever he was doing before. Benny then is tragically killed when somebody was seeking revenge against Lil Z but accidentally shot him in a very large crowd in the dark with lights flashing in a mosh pit and a lot of things happening. It's what you expect. You missed him. As a major drug lord, Lil Z obviously has a lot of enemies and people seeking revenge for their family members that he killed or maimed. One of them is Knockout Ned, a former World War II marksman who joins Carrot's side of the battle to get resources and guns to fight Lil Z for revenge. Rocket is actually still pretty close friends with them. And he actually manages to get a picture. They ask him to take a picture of them with all their guns out looking all cool. And he's working in the local newspaper, and it kind of finds its way to the front page accidentally. Then the last 20 minutes of the movie are just an all-out shootout between the 2 gangs, which finds Lil Z dead, Knockout Ned also dead, and Carrot arrested by the authorities. And the best part is that Rocket got pictures of the entire thing, including Lil Z's quite brutal death. So this presumably launches his photography and journalism career at the newspaper and beyond, but who knows, because that's where the movie ends. Not much to complain about overall. I liked it. As far as the plot goes, you can't really control real events, so no writing errors there. The main problem was the choppiness of the film, both in the duration of shots and the handheld camera. That was kind of like, I understand that added to the grunginess of the film a little bit, but it was a bit excessive at times. It's just like, my eyes, they're bleeding, please stop. It also had like a, definitely an early 2000s kind of like Mexico City filter on it, which just kind of made it look a little low budget, which, I don't know what the budget was, but that might well have been their limitation. Also, Rocket as a narrator, I felt was really underdeveloped as a narrator and a main character. He really only has 3 character points. First, he's Goose's brother. Second, he has a crush on Angelica, who herself is a pretty minor character. And then third, he has an interest in photography, and he joins the newspaper and takes pictures of the gangs, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's all he does in the whole movie, besides narrating the entire time. So it would be nice to have a more developed, narrator and main character, assumedly. And the final score is in. It is a 8 out of 10. Because IMDb only lets you do in increments of 1. No 8.3, 8.5, whatever. So I did like it overall. I can't really complain about the story because it's based on real events. No one can control what actually happens or doesn't. My only complaints were, again, the choppiness of the shots at various points and the underdevelopment of Rocket as a narrator and main character. That's kind of the problem. Is he the main character? Well, you don't really know anything about him. So there's episode 1. If you liked it, then don't do anything because I'm not a sellout. I hope you can join me on my next episode. No clue when it's going to come out. Maybe I can do these on a weekly basis. Who knows? It's going to be the 22nd best movie of all time. Life is Beautiful.